What do you feel? How do you feel about reconciliation?
Well, reconciliation is largely misunderstood, but reconciliation was designed to only allow a simple majority for budgetary issues, issues only. And those are issues on a yearly basis, not forever, just on a yearly basis. So trying to put in place a policy issue that lasts well beyond a year using the reconciliation process, I think is contrary to what the reconciliation process was all about. The Senate has always prided itself, and our founders kind of made the two houses this way. The U.S. House, elected every 2 years. That's the House that's closest to the people. The U.S. Senate, only 1/3 of the Senate is up every 2 years. They're 6-year terms. It was designed to kind of, slow the process down. I mean, it was part of the checks and balances, really the genius of our founding fathers. And part of the Senate rules, they have allowed from day one a filibuster. If one senator is contrary to whatever the policies are, that senator can take the floor and filibuster to slow the whole process down. It's been used in the past a number of times. But just recently, in the last century, they put a vote on there where you could end a filibuster with 60 votes. That's that term cloture comes in, but that's where that 60 vote part comes in. Extraordinary majority in order to do that, but that's always been in the tradition of the Senate. By the way, both parties have defended filibuster when both of them have been in charge. So this is not anything that's unusual. But to ram a policy that affects about 15% of the total economy through a process that should only be used for budgetary purposes is really contrary to the rules. I know the Senate Republicans are probably looking at all the different ways to try to slow that process down, because not everything will fit in the cloture process, and therefore would be subject to the 60 votes. So we'll see what happens, but the first test, I think, is going to be in the House.
That's going to be a very interesting time.
There's no question about that. No question.
So what about 2010 and 2012? How do you think the people will, or the party will fare in an upcoming election?
Well, one thing about elections where there's been a dramatic change, Americans, after elections, they always say, okay, that's the way it is, and then they plan for the next election. Typically, when a president gets elected from one party, in the first off-year elections, which 2010 will be, that president's party tends to lose seats. So that's kind of the historical norm. There's only been a few exceptions to that. In fact, those exceptions were in the last 10 or 15 years. But boy, this one here is very, very volatile. I think based on the massive deficits that we're running, that has caused a lot of angst across the country. Tea Party movement, for example, it started well over about a year ago now, is an example of that. And that is truly a grassroots spontaneity that's coming from the people, where they just say, something's wrong with this. And then the health care debate. So I'm not going to prognosticate because, but I will just say this: those that watch this on a regular basis, they say that there is going to be a huge change in the makeup of Congress. Whether there's enough to flip the majority, only time will tell. But some are saying it's a done deal, others aren't. That's why we have elections.
Anything going on with agriculture in our area?
Well, the biggest issue, again, is something that happened last year. When we passed the omnibus budget, there was a provision in there that essentially negated a part of NAFTA, had to do with Mexican trucks coming into America.
Oh, that's right.
There was a pilot program, and so the United States, I mean, this is against my vote, unilaterally negated that part of NAFTA. Mexico, in retaliation, put duties on a number of agriculture products going into Canada, or into Mexico. Processed potatoes being one of them now. We need to understand that the biggest percentage of processed potatoes are processed in Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. And we are now losing that market, and they're coming in from Canada.
Wow.
So, because that tariff is still there, and that's been ongoing now for well over a year. And I've spoken to Secretary of Transportation LaHood on this. I've spoken directly to Secretary of Commerce Locke, our former governor, on this. But, you know, it was a political payback specifically for the Teamsters Union, and they make no bones about it. They say that they are the ones that did it. So, but as a result, industries in our area, agriculture in this case, are the losers, and so are the people that are employed by those industries.
Any issues that you'd care to talk about?
Well, there's simply a lot going on right now. I think because our country is in a slowdown recession, the best way to get out of that is to enact some of these trade deals that we have. We have a trade deal with Colombia. Colombia products have full access into our market. We don't have access into their market, which sounds kind of crazy, but yet we haven't ratified that trade agreement. South Korea is an emerging economic power in Asia. We have a trade deal pending with them that should be passed. And then one in Panama, you know, our neighbors to the south. Now, these aren't huge markets, but we ought to do everything we can to open markets rather than restrict them. And these 3 trade deals would benefit, frankly, agriculture. I mean, we would immediately have benefit of our agriculture products in all 3 of those trade deals. So, but unfortunately, we're not even taking them up.
Thank you for coming in today and talking with us. It's great to get your perspective and also your knowledge of all of the issues facing Congress and the Senate and then us, of course, as well. So,
well, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much.
Good.
I'm Lloyd Swain with Charter Channel 3. You can watch this on Channel 3, or you can also watch it on YouTube. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again.